As we follow the latest on Mark Zuckerberg's upcoming testimony on Capitol Hill, we are taking a closer look at the global impact his remarks and answers will have on the future of the internet and privacy. For more now, we want to bring in a CBSN contributor, Alex Clement. He writes for Signal, a newsletter produced by G0 Media. So today is day one of two big days for Mark Zuckerberg. What can we expect from his testimony? What do you think lawmakers are hoping to hear?
Well, you can expect him to be very, very sorry about everything. Right?
that he's made clear.
He's made clear that he's very, very sorry. And have I mentioned that he's sorry?
Yes.
But look, I think the challenge really for him is to show that he's sorry enough about what happened and transparent enough about what happened, but without giving lawmakers any bright ideas about starting to regulate Facebook more tightly. Right? What you hear from Silicon Valley is, yes, there are problems in social media networks and platforms, but regulation will stifle innovation and raise questions about free speech. Most of Congress still believes that. Zuckerberg's trick is to not give them any new ideas about, hey, maybe we should regulate these companies more. Facebook and the other big tech companies also face a much stricter regulatory environment in Europe. Facebook is going to have hell to pay in Europe. I mean, the US is one thing, but Europe is another. So that's really what he's going. He wants to be sorry and transparent, but not so sorry and transparent that people say, let's regulate this more tightly.
If Facebook continues to grow and more people are signing up, not just here in the United States, but around the world, what's the incentive to self-regulate? Because if they're not going to be regulated by Congress, if they're not going to face any repercussions other than a bad PR look for them, where's the incentive? You pointed out in Europe, for example, I know that in Germany, there's some very strict rules governing what you can post on Facebook that has to adhere to the laws of that country, and we don't have that here in the U.S.
That's right. The European system uses government regulation to force companies to respect privacy rules. Here in the U.S., the government, with some exceptions like in the healthcare sector, largely lets companies regulate themselves. Right? Of course, China is the opposite extreme, where China regulates in the sense that the Chinese government has access to just about everything that companies do. Look, I think for Zuckerberg, the question is how can he balance the impetus towards the impulse towards profits with the demands for privacy from his users. And as you say, unless users themselves in the United States and elsewhere are going to demand that, it's very hard to see Congress changing their mind. Part of the reason why the Europeans have moved so far in this is because European publics do demand greater regulation of things like this. But it's not going to change without greater public pressure, in particular on Congress.